Welcome to Inspired Edinburgh, powerful conversations helping you reconnect with your purpose. I'm Elliot Reeves and my guest today is Faith Canter. Faith is a therapist, nutritional consultant, food intolerance specialist, health coach and a self-love lover who changes people's lives. You're the author of Living a Life Less Toxic and you work with one-to-one clients as well as running UK-wide workshops, demos and talks about living a less toxic life in mind, body, home and environment. Fantastic. Faith, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me and thank you for the lovely intro.
You're absolutely welcome. I do enjoy doing the intros, I have to say. It's probably my favourite part. Let's hope it stays on that note. So it would be great if you could set the scene by telling us a bit about your background and really what life was like for you before you detoxified.
It's quite a long story, so I can't try and condense it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But prior to getting on the kind of the detox bandwagon, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, I was very ill for a number of years, housebound, sometimes bedbound, with chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, and IBS, depression, insomnia, I kind of collected ailments and illnesses. So that was for about 6.5 years, something like that. But even prior to that, I was never very well. I was still suffering from all the other things, just not the chronic fatigue syndrome at that point. And prior to that, I should have gone the other way maybe. I had, as a small child or a younger child, I was already suffering from depression, possibly brought on by abuse as a child and things like that. So it kind of, life was not what I would call very nice, I guess, or I perceived it as not being very nice for quite a number of years, and it just kind of got worse and worse and worse as the years went on until the chronic fatigue syndrome happened. And at the time I thought that was it, what's the point in living? But actually now I can see that it actually saved my life getting chronic fatigue syndrome rather than destroying it. Because I was already destroying myself in one way or another. So
Jeez, okay.
That kind of all led to trying to get well, and how do I get well without taking lots of medications and things like that? How do I get well from the ground up, kind of from dealing with all the underneath stuff, not just putting a plaster on it or trying to deal with one symptom, but everything.
So what was, I suppose, the sort of tipping point? When did you decide that you were going to try to improve your circumstances?
I think I was about 2 years into the chronic fatigue syndrome being quite severe, and I had only about 6 months before maybe been actually diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, because basically they have to rule everything else out first before that you get that diagnosis. And since being diagnosed with it, I'd got worse because I knew that lots of people never recovered from it, how bad it could get. Some people are drip fed, it can get quite severe. So I think the news of being told I had it made me worse for a while. And I was reading all these stories about, all these horror stories about it basically. And then one day I was like, that's it, enough is enough. I'm not doing this. This is not what I came to this planet to do. It's got to be something different than this. So just about exactly the same time, like maybe the same day or a day either side or something, I came across a book called Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. It's just the most incredible book, and it made me realise that even though I couldn't do very much, I could do something still, and how to be grateful for the little things in my life. So I remember taking myself to sit at the window of my bedroom instead of in the bed, and watching the squirrels and the birds and the people passing, and actually appreciating those things, because in my busy life prior to that, I just walked straight past. You've just got blinkers on half the time because you're doing 101 things and stuff. And I was like, wow, all this wildlife in my front garden you know, that I can now sit and appreciate for hours on end if I choose to.
Yeah.
And that was a real turning point for me, to realise that there was some benefits to where I was. And then I just started reading every single recovery story I could find, not just from chronic fatigue syndrome, but from terminal cancers and all sorts of stuff, you know. And I was like, if these people can get well, then I'm definitely, that's me, I'm doing it, you know. There's no second place or anything, that's it. So yeah, that was kind of, then it slowly started, and it took a long time. Actually, it must have been quite far in, actually, not just 2 years. It must have been a bit further in, because it took me about 2.5 years to get well.
Did it?
So yeah, that must have been about 4 years in then. But yeah, that was kind of the turning point.
Okay.
So
yeah. And so what sort of research did you start doing then to help yourself?
Well, reading people's recovery stories and seeing what helped them first, because it's kind of guesswork otherwise. Well, it's still guesswork then, because everyone's slightly different. And realising that there was a certain number of things that seemed to, although lots of people tried lots of different things, there was always the same sort of things that kept coming up in amongst it. And I realised detoxing mind, body and home was key. You know, everyone, whatever they were trying was part of that, you know, either healing their body through healing the digestive system and detoxing the body, or more things like meditation and stuff like that, or, you know, reducing the chemicals coming into the home and onto the body, because all of those things, even if they hadn't caused the illness, they were having a big impact on it, you know, because the body's not being able to work effectively then. So it kept, like, these same sort of patterns kept coming up. So that's what I started to do, basically concentrating on detoxing mind, body and home. It just kind of snowballed from there. Well, I mean, there's certainly a number of things that you've kind of, I've seen in your books and you've kind of spoken about and such, like, I mean, diet, for example. Certainly on your blog, I've seen that you have a lot of raw vegan recipes. Is that something that you used, and is that something that you advocate? Yeah, I mean, the raw food is highly nutrient dense. You're not cooking anything off. It's really dense in nutrients, so you don't need to eat so much. And if you can get the nutrients in, then the body's going to work more effectively. So that's really important. And, you know, a lot of the processed foods that we eat are full of sugars and additives and things, so and chemicals which are having an impact on our health. The body doesn't know what to do with a lot of them, so it ends up storing them, and it slows everything down. We don't have as much energy. So coming away from the processed foods is really important. But the thing is a lot of people that have got chronic fatigue syndrome or IBS and other ailments I've got intolerances to things like wheat and dairy and yeast and various other things, but the free from foods are just as full as sugars and preservatives and all this. So quite soon in my recovery I realised that they weren't actually helping my recovery, the free from foods, at all. They were actually hindering it, because they were spiking my blood sugar levels all the time. So eating, I'm not vegan, but I do eat predominantly a vegan diet, purely because it's so nutrient dense, it's so healthy, it's not processed, it's not, you know, spiking your blood sugars left, right and centre, and it's better for the environment as well. And I'm a big advocate of, you know, helping the environment as well through helping ourselves as well. So for me, that it just seemed just natural it kind of just moved into that kind of way of eating, and it made me feel good. So. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, if you consider diet to be one of the pillars, if you like, of getting yourself better, what were some of the other themes that emerged from the research that you did, and what are some of the other things that you implemented into your life? Well, the main thing is to heal the digestive system, because it doesn't matter how many raw vegan meals you eat. If your digestive system is impaired, you won't be absorbing the nutrients. So that's key first. And although I changed my diet, I hadn't done that. So initially, it wasn't having as big an impact as I thought it should. And then I realised that there was still some healing to go on in the digestive system first.
What would be the sort of signal that it wasn't completely healing? Is it like bowel movements or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's IBS type symptoms, so we don't need to probably go into
no,
on camera. But yeah, those sorts of symptoms, maybe, you know, people are running to the toilet too much or not enough, that sort of thing, bloating, all sorts of, anything really to do with the digestive tract. So right from the mouth all the way down, really. If there's problems, then there's probably an imbalance in the digestive system. But it manifests in lots of different ways if there's an imbalance. Anything from fatigue to depression to more symptoms that I won't mention on camera, but they're in my book and on my blog if people want to know about them. So healing the digestive system is key. So bringing it back into balance, making sure there's good bacteria in the digestive system and not so many bad bacteria in there. We need a little, but not as much as most of us have got. And doing that through, I recommend a yeast and parasite cleanse, which kind of detoxes all areas of the body. And that's actually what my second book is about, which is out soon. But I also recommend fermented foods, and I'm a big advocate of fermented foods, and I do a lot of videos and blogs about that because I think if you've got a busy life and you find it difficult to eat healthy all the time, then what I always say to people is add stuff in. If you can't remove stuff, then add some good stuff in, so at least you're getting some of the good stuff. But the thing with the fermented foods is you can add those to the side of any meal, or just eat them as they're on their own. But they're high in nutrients, they're high in probiotics, they're high in good yeasts, and they help you absorb the nutrients from the food you consume them with as well, and they help you detox. So they're a good all-rounder, and some of them are really, really simple to make as well, and you can make big jars of them like I do that last for ages. So that's, for me, that's one of the first things that I think most people should do. And actually, even if you haven't got chronic fatigue syndrome, most people have got a digestive imbalance in this day and age in how we live our lives. So it's really good to help just get your energy and vitality back and lose weight and think clearer as well. You know, and also with things like depression and stuff, they're calling the fermented foods the new Prozac.
Really?
Because a lot of the happy hormones and stuff are actually produced in the digestive system, not in the brain. So if we heal the digestive system, then it helps with things like that as well. So it's great for everybody.
And what would be examples of good fermented foods?
Sauerkraut, kimchi, anything you can slice carrots up and ferment those and things, just any kind of vegetable. But then you've got the fermented drinks, which are the kefir or kefir, depending on how you pronounce it, and kombucha and the kvases and things like that. So there's so many options. So if you don't like one, you can easily move to another. But the things like sauerkraut and kimchi and stuff, you can buy them in the supermarket, but they're pasteurized, so they've actually hardly got any goodness in. But you can make your own jars of them like this big for like about £1. So it doesn't cost very much, it doesn't take very long, and you can make loads of jars at once that last you months and months and months. So it's a really great way to kind of help any kind of health ailment really, or just to feel better and get more nutrients in. So yeah, I kind of rambled on then about fermented foods, but you can see I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, of course. No, I like the passion. That's good. That's good. Something else that you mentioned and that I've heard you talk about is meditation. What does your current meditation practice look like, and how did that help you overcome your insomnia issues?
Well, one thing I'd like to just say first, actually, is that's the two things I recommend to everybody. If they can't do anything else and you want to feel better in yourself, ferment and meditate. Yeah, so they're my two key things, because that's body and mind as well. But meditation was massive for me in my recovery, and I see it with many of my clients, or almost all of my clients as well, for all sorts of health ailments, whether that's mentally or physically. And for me, I went from sleeping maybe 2 or 3 hours a night, broken sleep, sometimes wouldn't sleep at all, and I'd been like that for on and off, but for mostly about 15 years. And within days of meditating for 24 minutes a day, that's all I did to start with, to a guided meditation, I was sleeping 7 or 8 hours, almost solid.
Wow.
I mean, it has a huge impact.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, and I was the same, think we can't meditate. I can't quieten my mind, so I can't meditate. But what I say to people, it's not about quieting the mind. You know, it's going to be very difficult to quieten the mind, even from me who meditates all the time. You know, it doesn't happen that often that you quieten the mind completely. But it's more about becoming the observer of the thoughts and not consumed by them. So my meditation practice these days, it varies depending on what I've got on, but usually about 3 times a day.
Seriously?
For anything between 15 minutes and an hour. If I'm not sleeping very well, then I'll meditate throughout the night as well.
Wow.
When I wrote my second book, I hardly slept for about 6 weeks because the book was just kind of pouring through me. But I was meditating 7 or 8 times throughout the day and night, like maybe for an hour or 2 at a time at night. And you don't need that much sleep then. Your body's getting everything it needs from the meditating. And you're actually then, because you're meditating, really inspired and, you know, focused and stuff. And it was crazy the amount of sleep I had in that time, yet I was more productive than ever. And if I've got a special project or something I'm working on, then I'll tend to meditate more, because it kind of brings me into alignment and helps me, like I say, focus and get inspiration and kind of listen to my inner knowing, rather than kind of thinking, oh, I've got to do this, this and this. So it really helps on so many different levels. But yeah, meditating is an easy thing that we can all do, which is life-changing. Yeah, life-changing.
Amazing. And so what does, as you know, your sort of meditation practice then, do you wear like headphones or earphones? Do you listen to anything whilst you're doing it? Is it in a certain place or position?
It
at more
varies.
sort of granular level, it would be good to kind of hear about.
It varies. It really depends, again, what I'm working on, where I am, those sorts of things. When I first started meditating, it was a lot of guided meditations, because I didn't think I could self-guide then. And even now I still use quite a lot of guided meditations. I have a few favourites that I go back to quite regularly. And also sometimes I just think, you know what, I'm just going to search on YouTube for whatever. Like if I'm in a, I don't know, I want to work on some acceptance, or I want to work on I don't know, self-love or something like that, then I'll just put in self-love meditation and see how much time I've got left, or not left, but time I have. It might be 30 minutes, I'll put in self-love 30-minute guided meditation and then see what comes up, and then just do that. And that's quite nice, to just kind of mix it up. And then other times I just meditate by myself, just self-guided. These days I do a lot of heart-centered meditations, bringing myself from head to heart, and that's what I'm predominantly teaching a lot at the moment, because that's what the third book is about, which I'm more than halfway through now. So yeah, it's I do a lot, I put my hand on my heart, because as soon as you do that, that produces happy hormones, and then I breathe in and out the heart space, and just rest my awareness there. So, because sometimes when we're trying to meditate in our head, we're kind of all heady again, and we're not really getting the meditation. So yeah, it just mix it up, depends where I am. If I've got clients or groups or something, then obviously I'll taking them through meditation, but I always meditate alongside as much as you can. And I do, I'm doing quite a bit of shamanic work, so I've been doing some shamanic meditations as well, out in nature. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
And sort of walking meditations in nature where you're just very mindful and aware of nature and kind of breathing it in, letting it go and stuff. And that's really healing. That's kind of quite a special kind of meditation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think being in nature as well, such a great way of getting, as you say, kind of out of your head.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Something else that I've heard you talk about, which I was aware of, but not at really any level, is EFT or tapping.
Mm-hmm.
So do you use that, and what are sort of some of the applications for that?
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that I found that quite a few people had used as part of their recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome to deal with underlying traumas and past events, but also to deal with patterns that we've got into and habits. And kind of coming out the stress response and the anxiety response to things. So when I trained in that once I was well enough to actually train in it, because when I first found out about it and they said, oh, you've got to come and do a whole day, I was like, I can't sit for a whole day and somebody teach me. So I came a long way quite quickly. But yeah, it's working with the meridians in a similar way to acupressure and acupuncture and things.
Right.
So you're releasing blockages throughout the body with this tapping. So you can, this is like the karate chop, but then there's different finger points, and then there's different points throughout the body, like the head and the eyebrows and things like that. Mm-hmm. And the standard thing to do is think of what's wrong. Say a setup phrase and then tap on everything that comes up, and then kind of it releases the kind of blockages around those things. Uh-huh. But I've kind of started just using a really quick, simplified version of it, because doing all that is quite confusing to people and it puts them off, so then they don't do it at all. So I say just do it in the moment on the raw emotion and just tap the karate chop, or just tap one of them. Okay. And you just sort of say, I don't know, say I'm nervous of being on camera or something or other, and how it makes you feel. So it might make you feel edgy, it might make you feel stupid, might remind you of something when you're a child, whatever it is, and you tap on it and you just get it out. And then what I say is then you tap on something positive, sort of like, I'm open to letting go of this trigger, or I'm open to this not bothering me in future, or I'm open to being amazing on camera, or whatever it is, you know. But again, for me, it's not saying something you don't believe. Because, you know, with some of these like affirmations and things you get with people, you sort of say, you're saying, I am love, I am great, I am this, but you're inside, you're thinking, no, I'm not, I am rubbish, and it causes conflicts. Yeah. So you're already upsetting yourself inwardly and causing kind of a stress response. So what I say is, you say things like, I'm open to this being different, because that sends a powerful message to the subconscious mind. And then you just take a couple of deep breaths and you let it out. And quite a few people actually feel the energy shift. They can feel that there's been a shift, and some people don't feel it, but they start to notice that it's breaking these patterns and habits and things. So it's a way of using what we've perceived as negative to help us heal and move forward. So it's really powerful. It's a really great technique. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as it seems. That's what I'm saying to people. So if it seems complicated to anyone watching this, then just do a simplified version. Do what you can, because anything's going to help.
When you reference energy there, I suppose, other than sort of meditation, is there anything that you would do to raise your vibration, if you like, your vibrational energy? Yeah,
there's loads of things. One of the things that I'm currently doing, which might not be everyone's cup of tea, is the shamanic work. I'm training to be a shamanic practitioner, and that helps, you know, connecting back with ourselves, each other and nature. That helps to raise our vibration. But the foods we're eating, if we're eating low vibrational foods, it's our fuel. Food is our fuel, so if we're putting rubbish in, we're going to feel rubbish. So that's really important. The people you're around, if they're always putting you down, maybe you don't want to spend so much time with them. And the news and things like that. I mean, I stopped a long time ago watching the news and reading newspapers and stuff. I subscribe to a thing called the Positive News or something, Positive News something or other. It's on Facebook. Okay. And they tell you all these amazing things that are happening in the world all the time. It's great. So it lifts you. but meditation obviously as well, and like you say, the tapping. But any kind of energy work, if it's different for different people. Some people like crystals, some people like even massage, or anything that's going to just help to kind of shake off all that heaviness that we've got, and kind of just bring in to us more energy and more vibrancy. And breath, actually, that's one of the key things. Breathing. Most of us are not breathing correctly. We may think we are because we're living, but we're not. We're not breathing deep down into the bottom of our lungs and into our abdomen. So what happens is we're mixing a lot of stale air and toxins with the fresh stuff, and then not feeling as energized as we could, and not feeling confident, and not feeling vibrant, and lots of organs aren't working effectively then. So if we just spend time every day during a meditation, or when we wake up, or even whenever we remember, just breathing everything completely out of our lungs, so we're getting rid of all the toxins that are in the bottom there, and then breathing completely into our lungs again. So we're getting basically expelling everything and then getting lots of fresh in. And it really helps with energy and stuff, which is why you can get oxygen therapy now, because we're just not actually getting physically enough oxygen most of the time. So it helps with so many different things, and posture with it. If we're sitting down and stuff, we're not getting enough oxygen in. Sorry, if we're slouching, we're not getting enough oxygen in and stuff. So just simple things like that can make such a big effect on energy, vitality, and everything else working effectively.
Yeah, that's great. So I mean, that's a lot of really actionable and good advice, tips for mind and body. Detoxifying the home is perhaps a little more obscure. What sort of things would you do there then?
Well, it's getting rid of chemicals, really. Our homes are absolutely jam-packed full of chemicals, and we can't get rid of them all unless we're going to go and live in a cave in, I don't know, Siberia or somewhere. But just bleaches and air fresheners and all these sorts of things. We are breathing them in. If you can smell it, you're breathing it in. So air fresheners, which are absolutely jam-packed full of chemicals, you are breathing those in. Nice smelly candles, the same. Hairsprays, all these sorts of things. We're breathing those into the lungs. And then, like I say, we're not expelling them then, and they're sitting in the lungs. So making your own alternatives, which actually is really cheap, really easy, and can be fun as well. And just like carpet freshener, like the shaken back type things and stuff. All you need to do is buy some bicarbonate of soda or something and put that down instead. And it just absorbs all the odours. And trust me, it works because I've got dogs. So it works. But a bit of vinegar and bicarb in the kitchen will clean a cooker, clean all the oil and stuff off of the cooker. And like air freshener is just a little spray bottle with some water and some essential oils. So it's really simple, and you can make them as gifts and stuff for people, which I get a lot of clients to do. I run workshops on that sort of thing. And the chemicals that you're putting onto your body is doing the same things. You're absorbing those. So if you're bringing in lots of kind of chemically moisturizers and makeup and shampoos and conditioners and stuff, obviously they're contaminating the home, but they're contaminating you even more, because it's something like 60% of what we put onto our skin we absorb. So whether that's a moisturizer or it's a bleach or whatever it is, we're actually consuming quite a lot of it, either through breath or our skin. And like I say, it's really easy to make alternatives and fun as well. So, and it's good for the environment as well, because it's not all these chemicals going down the sink, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So,
Excellent. So I gather that earlier in the year you did a long walk. It was, I think, September actually you did it for 24 days and 500 miles from across Spain.
Yes.
Wow. I've got it written down here. I'm reluctant to try and say it on camera. Camino de Santiago pilgrimage.
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what was that like in terms of personal evolution and self-discovery?
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't need to say anything else, that's it. It was awesome.
Okay.
It was something I found out about when I was chronically ill, and I used it as a visualization throughout my illness. Like a real full-on visualization where I felt the wind and the rain and the sun, and I was imagining myself walking it and aching and stuff. So it's part of my recovery, but then since getting well, I hadn't got around to walking it, even though I kept saying I was going to.
Really?
But the last year, the signs that keep coming up everywhere of kind of, these Camino things keep coming up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to walk it. I actually did start earlier on in the year. I started in March, but then I hurt my leg after a few days, and I kept walking on it because I was like, I will walk this Camino. But it got really bad and I had to give up. So I went back and started it again in September. And it was just the most fantastic thing. To be able to walk 500 miles across a country, up through the Pyrenees and some other mountain ranges as well, after barely being able to get up my stairs a lot of the time at home, was just the most incredible feeling. I felt really powerful and grateful and just in love with life almost every second of the whole time I was there, which is why I walked it so fast as well. I think everyone was going, you're crazy. And I was like, but I just feel strong, this feels so good that I just couldn't stop walking. So yeah, incredible people, seeing different scenes every day, walking through mountain ranges, but then walking through the Meseta, which is like lots of flat fields and stuff, and walking through woods and stuff. It's just the most incredible thing. And I highly recommend that everybody walks a Camino in their life. So much so I'm going back next year to do it again.
Wow.
So,
Jeez.
Yeah, it's just incredible. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's like it averages out at more than 20 miles a day.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah.
So where were you staying whilst you were doing it?
In hostels. They call albergues along the way, which is specifically for the pilgrims.
And did you have it mapped out prior to?
No, you know your route, but you kind of just decide where you're going to stop depending on how you feel and things. Yeah. So the first week I was doing probably slightly less than 20 miles a day, more like 15, 16, 17 miles a day. And then as I felt stronger, I was doing longer days. And the last day, can't remember how much it is in miles because everything obviously is in kilometres there. But the last day I just couldn't stop walking. I did 53 kilometres that day.
Unbelievable.
Because I just wanted to get to the end, really. I was just like ecstatic. And then I spent 2 hours trying to look for accommodation. So I probably did quite a lot more, but it kind of just, I ended up doing more and more each day, but it just felt so good. It felt so good, like I was saying earlier, that connection to yourself, spending that much time with yourself, a lot of the time meditatively walking, or, and then connecting to a walking community of people who are all, just as mad as you because they're walking across a country. And also then that connection with nature as well. It was incredible. And I did a lot of meditating when I stopped along the way and stuff on hilltops and things like that. So it was really healing and nurturing on so many levels because it ticked all of those kind of connection boxes. So yeah, do it.
Excellent. So you mentioned a book that you love, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior.
Yeah.
What are some of your other favourite books?
Oh, there are so many. I love The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, I think it's Redfield. I think it's Redfield. I like all of Dan Millman's books, but particularly the Way of the Peaceful Warrior one. It's a life changer, a game changer, definitely. And they have a film out about it now as well. Well, it's been out a long time, And then I like a lot of David Hamilton's work, who's from not far from here in Stirling. He's a big Hay House author. I think he's just written his 9th or 10th book or something. And his is all about the power of the mind and how the mind can help us heal physically and things like that. And as his books I found after Dan Millman's books, and they just came into my kind of world just at the right time when I was becoming open to, that what we're thinking up here has a big impact on what's going on down here. So yeah, any of David Hamilton's books are great. Sandy Newbigin's books, he's from Edinburgh originally as well. That's about meditation and mind detox methods to help us kind of move through whatever is going on for us and stuff like that. But what else? I mean, excuse me, I'm trying to think what's on my bookshelves now. But last year I got rid of 1,500 books, so I've only got a couple of bookshelves left. But Paolo, I never pronounce his name properly. Cohen. Okay. He does The Alchemist.
Right.
The Alchemist is brilliant, but so are a lot of his other books, and they're kind of, they just fall into your life at exactly the right time. So his stuff's excellent as well. But I could probably go on forever if I could picture my bookshelf in my mind.
How much reading do you do?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. I'm reading a lot of shamanic books at the moment, and things on kind of those sorts of principles, but all sorts of stuff. But I read a lot whenever I can, on the bus, in the bath, when the bath is running, just before going to bed, just when I get up, whenever I can. It's important to me. I enjoy learning all that stuff. And tweaking and changing what I'm doing and evolving, and then I've got more to share with other people then as well, because everything I share I've done myself. Otherwise it would be a bit strange. Recently it's a lot more about shamanic stuff and mind detox type things, and what's behind, and self-love, what's behind why we struggle to make the changes that we know we should be making and things like that. So getting to the nitty gritty of it all. And obviously you write your own books as well, so you've got one already. And you're currently, I think one's being released soon, and you've got one planned for 2017. So tell us about your new books. What can we expect? The one that's out at the end of December, that is called Cleanse, and that's actually a program that people can follow for detoxing mind, body and soul. I've put that one down as, whereas the first one's mind, body and home.
Okay.
So it kind of takes you a bit deeper.
Nice.
That's a program to follow. And then the one that I hope to be out for Valentine's, but I've still got about 10,000 words to write on it yet and edit. That's called Loving Yourself Inside and Out. And that kind of merges the detox work I have been doing with the self-love work that I've been moving into, and explains why we find it hard to make the changes that we need to make to get well or healthy or lose weight or whatever it is. Because I think we all know we should be eating better and exercising more. We're not silly, we know we should be doing that. But we find it difficult for whatever reason it is. So that book is kind of helping people understand that actually if we take the time to nourish and nurture ourselves, or our love of self, should I say, then we will find the nourish and nurturing of the body so much easier. We'll be able to stick to things, we'll want to, eat something healthier or go for a run or whatever it is. So it's that side of things, and cleaning up, all those, again, those patterns and habits and traumas that we might have gone through, which are kind of sabotaging our love of self as well. So that book is kind of a bridge between the two worlds that I've been working in. But I've also got others on that I'm working on as well. One from the Camino, kind of a background task, and a couple of cookery book, well, call them cookery books, there's not actually any cooking in them, one on fermenting and one on kind of raw food and vegan food and stuff like that. So every time a good recipe turns out okay, it goes into this file for those two. So they'll be out maybe the end of next year or something, perhaps.
Wow.
So
it's amazing. It's incredible that your journey, you know, you were bedbound and now you just have all of this energy and you're doing all of this incredible stuff. It's so inspirational. But how does it make you feel?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Again. I say to people, you just need to follow your fun. You know, even getting into this world, initially when the first book came out, whilst I was writing it, whilst I was publishing it, and afterwards, I slipped a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is such hard work, and you know, I don't know if I can do this, and all these doubts come up. But I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't following what was fun for me and things. And I think if you continue to keep following your fun, then you're inspired and you're in alignment and you're focused, you have energy and you love what you do. And then you don't get tired. Well, you do, but not as easily. And you can do all these amazing things. And you love what you're doing, and other people pick up on that. So you'll draw other people that love what they're doing into your life as well. And I think I posted an Instagram thing yesterday, and it said, I love that the more I love life, the more it loves me back. And that's so how I feel now. If my energy dips or my vibration dips or something like that, and I think, well, I don't think that's for me then. You know, so it's just keep following what's fun, and it might seem totally irrelevant, but it will lead to bigger things because your energy is in that space.
Exactly.
So yeah,
that's brilliant.
So yeah, it just feels awesome.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm so happy for you. So following your fun, I mean, this show is very much about reconnecting with purpose and doing the things that you do enjoy. How would you describe your own purpose?
It's evolved. It's evolved a lot. Initially, I thought my purpose was to help other people get well from things like chronic fatigue syndrome, IBS, that sort of thing. I thought I was the detox expert. You know, that's my purpose. But that, you know, that soon changed into like this self-love kind of expert or whatever as well, because, you know, I'd struggled so much throughout my life with things that I wanted to help other people with that. But now I realise it's just a lot simpler than that, and it's just about having a life that we all love. Yeah, you know, and that's for me. I love my life, and I want to show other people that they can love theirs as well. And it doesn't have to, it's not about money, and it's not about relationships, and it's not about careers. All that stuff's great, but that's all borrowed. And, you know, if that person leaves you or that career falls through, or, you know, then we're sad and unhappy again. And what my purpose and what I'm doing in my life and I'm trying to help other people with is to realise that it all comes from within. You know, and when we generate that happiness within, that joy, that peace, that purpose, whatever it is, then it's never borrowed, and it can evolve and it can change, and that's completely fine as well, because we're humans, you know. But it's just, we're filling ourselves up from the inside out rather than the outside in, and that's sustainable then. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know if I answered that question.
No, definitely.
Kind of waffle on.
Not at all. And so, I mean, how do you think people that you had in your life or are in your life or have been in your life, how have they reacted to your metamorphosis?
I think most people are pleased. You know, obviously you're going to get some people that are like, what is she doing?
Yes.
You know, she was a drug user and a drinking all the time and this, that and the other and stuff. She can't possibly be, you know, doing this or this or whatever. But that's fine. I don't mind. You know, years ago it would have bothered me a lot. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I got depressed and things, because I always thought other people didn't like me. They said this, I said that. Why didn't I say this? Why didn't they invite me here? It's just constant and it's exhausting. But now I'm just like, that's fine. That's up to them where they are on their journey. And that's part of what I teach is acceptance. You know, when we can learn to accept whatever it is that's going on around us, not just how other people react to things, then because we're not in conflict anymore, we just let it go. You know, you can feel something, accept it, and then think, oh, that's okay, I'm human. You know, I feel jealous or judgmental or this. That's okay, I'm human, and then just let it go. So you might, there might be times still that somebody will say something, and I'll be like, oh, that's not very nice.
Yes.
But I'm allowing myself to feel that, and then I just let it go. And it's, you know, it's a learning. It can be a gift rather than something that can potentially destroy us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's massively empowering. I think a lot of people probably struggle with that way of life. A lot of people tend to kind of harbour resentment or hold on to things rather than just, as you're saying, kind of observe and let go. And the whole I don't mind ethos is something that I've certainly heard Eckhart Tolle speak about. So it
has a huge impact. It had a massive impact on me. Some of the things that, even, you know, I'm obviously in a much better place, but like this year, my husband and I broke up, and having that reminding myself of this acceptance allowed me to pass through it so much quicker. I didn't harbour any resentment and judgment for very long anyway. I am human, and that's okay.
Exactly.
But you know, I could pass through it so much quicker and see the gifts in it. And you know, my life is so much fuller now for that, even though that was a really difficult time to go through. But you know, even from the past, you know, my abuser and stuff, when I did some work on forgiving the abuser and actually sending love to that person, that was huge. And I can't tell you how big that was for my recovery from that trauma in my life. So, you know, it is difficult, and I write about it in the first and I think the second book as well, this concept of forgiveness, because if someone's done us wrong, then we're like, well, I'm not going to forgive them. You know, they've been wrong. But actually, it's not bothering them whether we forgive them or not. It's actually affecting our health. So there's a lot to be said about forgiving other people, but also forgiving ourselves for things, because we give ourselves a hard time as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's like the analogy, drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah.
Super. Okay. How would you describe your personal values?
I'm not actually sure.
Okay.
I value a lot of things. I value truth a lot, and I like to hope that I'm as truthful as I can be without upsetting everybody. And that's what I value in other people. And openness, which is kind of a similar thing. And love, openly loving people as well. For, like I say, for most of my life I struggled with this concept of, you know, loving people and people loving me and stuff, but I think the more we share love between us all, then the more love there is in the world. And we're raising our vibration again then. You know, there's a lot of what we can perceive as bad things happening in the world at the moment, but getting fearful doesn't help that. Actually lowers the vibration of ourselves and the world. So being in a loving state and sending love to those areas, those people, those things, or even ourselves as well, it has a powerful impact on us, because we're all vibration. So if we're sending out happy vibration, then we're going to vibrate happier and higher vibrations. But you know, if we're doing the opposite, then it's going to have a big impact on us all as well. So people that are or not just people, but myself as well, that are loving, truthful, open, and just genuine. You know, just genuine and honest people, really. Even if that's, you know, sometimes genuine and honest people can upset people. But I like that, because you know where you stand then. You know? So yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah, the whole concept of unconditional love and living in peace. It's very high level of consciousness or high level of awareness, and I think it's a challenge for people to move from a place of apathy or resentment, or especially when you consider the things like you were saying, the media kind of conditions people to. So everything that you've said is really good in terms of detoxifying every aspect of your life and allowing yourself to live in that space.
Yeah, totally. It has such a big impact on us and the world then as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Massive.
Cool. Okay. What would you like your legacy to be?
That I helped the world to love itself more. Yeah, definitely.
That's brilliant. Absolutely love that. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few questions around success.
Okay.
Again, another theme that I like to discuss on the show. How do you define success?
Someone that loves themselves.
Okay.
I'll just say the same thing for every question. That would be easier. No, I think to love the body and the life that you're in is successful. I think most of us think it's about money or houses or partners or careers and things. But like I said earlier, that's all kind of borrowed. I think success is living in harmony and peace and love in yourself and within the world as well, from the inside out. And that, to me, is real success. That's real abundance. A lot of people want to be abundant, but they think it's only about money, but actually it's so much else. We can be abundant in so many areas of our life. So that's it. Really.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's people that have been abundant in spite of money, really.
Yeah.
In history, it's not. I think that's the problem with the way that society has gone or is going, is that it's about, or very much promoting the idea of materialism and material wealth. It's like, these aren't the things that are going to give you true happiness.
No. I feel very abundant in health and love at the moment, and well, I don't say at the moment. It's going to be always.
Yeah.
But it's the money aspect's just a temporary thing, and it doesn't lead to happiness. So yeah, success is about love.
Definitely, there's a lot of love. I like it. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Ooh. That would be from my coach, and I think he heard it from his coach, who may have heard it from another coach. Early on when I started working with him, he said to me, "What is it that you really want?" And at the time I was still suffering from depression, and I said, "I want peace." And he said, "How much time each day are you dedicating to peace?" Not dedicating to, I haven't got any peace, or worrying about that, but how much time you're actually dedicating to peace. And I was like, man, not very much. And he's like, well, maybe that's something you could change. And I ask it for with most of my clients as well. I say, what is it you want? It might not be peace, it might be joy, it might be passion, it might be abundance or something. And then I say, how much time each day you're actually dedicating towards that? Because I think we get into this habit of thinking we don't have all these things, and that's all we keep thinking about is, I don't have the love of my life, I don't have the career, I don't have peace, I don't have my health, whatever it is. But we're not actually spending time dedicated each day to what it is we want. So I always get people to schedule, even if it's just 20 minutes a day, into their calendar, like an alarm goes off or something, to spend on moving towards whatever it is that they want in their life. And that's massive. And I still do it now. Like if I decide, oh, I really want this in my life now, then I will schedule stuff, something in each day to make sure I'm moving towards it, so that in another 6 months I don't get there and think, oh, I still haven't got this thing that I wanted, or whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, that's the best piece of advice, and one that I think everyone should work towards, is like, whatever it is you want, make sure you're doing something each day to work towards it. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. You have to be the change. Otherwise, nothing's going to change.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
If you had the opportunity to speak to the 20-year-old you, what would you say?
Sort it out. Oh, wow. I don't know, because I've pondered on similar things to this before, because when you're on a slightly alternative, maybe spiritual route or something, you think, why have I just spent the last 10 years learning all this stuff? Why didn't somebody just tell me this stuff at the end? or not the end, but maybe where you are now, back then, and then I would have been sorted. But the thing is, you're never ready back then. You know, if somebody had told me about shamanic stuff or self-love stuff or EFT or even meditation at 20, I would have been like, I'm just going to go over here and drink some more or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I think I would have just said, maybe you're not alone and you are loved. Yeah, something like that. I mean, the 20-year-old me would have still said, I think I'm hallucinating or something, but that's probably all I could have said, really, is to just, you know, give her a hug and you're okay. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, because it always is. It might be rubbish in the meantime, but it always is eventually okay.
Yeah.
Everything we're going through is fuel to being the best of who we come here to be and the happiest of who we came here to be.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have told her that, you know, this rubbish stuff, it'll be okay because it's all fuel for the future. So, yeah.
Great. I think I know what your answer to this is going to be, but if you could change anything in the world, what would it be and why?
This is easy as well. I was at a workshop not so long ago, and we were asked exactly the same question in a circle, and I was near the end of the circle, and everyone was saying, get rid of terrorism, famine, you know, deforestation, things like this. And my response was to teach everybody to move from fear to love, because if we were all in a loving place, then there wouldn't be the deforestation, there wouldn't be the terrorism, there wouldn't be the things happening in America and here with politics and things. You know, there wouldn't be any of that because we would all be loving and accepting and respectful of each other, and the planet. So yeah, to be able to maybe go into schools or families and things early on, and teach people there's a different way, teach children there's a different way, and that we can be in a place of love rather than a place of fear. I think that would have a huge impact on the world, and that's what I would change, if we could all be more loving than fearful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm gonna use one of your own quotes to close this interview. You said, "Too many of us walk about not really consciously living, but instead existing. It really doesn't have to be this way. Life is amazing, you're amazing, and together we can pave the way for a happier and healthier life for you, your family, and this beautiful planet." So, I mean, your energy is absolutely incredible. It's been such a, you know, the amount of passion, and it's just so inspirational, your story. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I just want to thank you for all your honesty and openness, and the way that you are just absolutely yourself with no concern about what others think. I think it's amazing. It's true inspiration.
Thank you. That's really lovely. Thank you.
You're
I've really
welcome.
enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you so much for coming, Faith. It's been a pleasure. Cheers. Thank you for taking the time to watch Inspired Edinburgh. If you enjoyed watching this video, I'd really appreciate if you'd like and share it. You can also sign up to our mailing list and social media channels using the details coming up on your screen now. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please feel free to comment. Until next time, reconnect with your purpose and inspire others.